Hello, my friends. I am so excited that you're really doing this women's leadership program because I am just thrilled with how God is trying to use us women in the workplace. So, tonight I want to share this scripture with you as you're going through the course. Think about Esther, and I'm going through my John Maxwell Bible because Esther is such a great example of a strong woman leader who God uses. And in the scripture, it tells us that, well, while the leadership principles can be found throughout the scriptures, it is so important that we understand that they're not taught systematically, just as no single doctrine is taught systematically through the 66 books of the Bible. Now, God chooses to teach these principles experientially through the lives of ordinary persons in history. And so that is precisely how Esther shows up in this book, and it deals with leadership. Here's the best part. If you look closely, you can spot a divine pattern going on right here because God always takes the initiative in executing his plan. And what we see here is that he looks for a person who will submit to him. That is so exciting to know. He looks for a person and he makes that individual aware of a need. Hmm. And the need quickly becomes the personal burden of the person God has chosen. Ultimately, and we're talking about Esther here, right? Ultimately, the individual embraces God's plans and feel more compelled. I love that word. Now we'll see how compelling it is throughout the book of Esther. But he uses it so that the person feels so compelled to depend on him and act upon it. And the vision become his or her possession. Finally, the person calls others to join the cause, as I'm calling you to join the cause, often at great personal risk. It is a personal risk. Let's talk about Esther because this is such a profound story, right? We see Esther, the book of Esther, it tells us the story of a woman she's beautiful inside out. Absolutely amazing woman. Mordecai, which is an older cousin, he takes her under his wings. And what we see happening here is it's in the early years. In a sense, he became her mentor. Think about it, he became her mentor. Do you have a mentor as a corporate woman and a Christian woman in the workplace? Do you have a mentor? It is so crucial important to have a mentor as well as a coach. What we see happen here is a gorgeous young Jewish woman. Esther's chosen, and she's chosen to replace Queen Vashti. Queen Vashti, right, replaces the consort of King Ahasuerus. Ahasuerus. And she marries into this royal family, and over the years, deepens her influence. Wow, that's an interesting story. Somewhere in the midst of her reign, in the midst of what she's doing and doing best, we find that a man named Haman feels snubbed by Mordecai and responds by making plans to exterminate the Jewish people. When Mordecai learns of the plot, he returns to his protege, Queen Esther, and he tries to convince her that she must stop the genocidal plan. Well, after a while, some moments of indecision, and she agrees to take the enormous risk. Yes, she did. Her courageous initiative, her quick thinking, her quick wit, charm, and poise, because that's who she was, in this desperate moment testified to the Jews that God will always raise up sufficient leaders for each crisis that emerges. We're talking about strong women in the workplace and leadership. And here we have biblical connection. Well, God will use someone to raise that person up in times of crisis. I love it. I hope that as you go through this training and as you connect the leadership concepts to the biblical concepts, that you will find the meaning as a woman. Now, God plays many role in Esther. And as we go through this book, you're going to see it over and over. Esther is one of those two books in scripture where the name of God does not appear even once. The other places happens in the Song of Solomon. Why is this so amazing? Why this amazing omission of the name of God? Well, what we see right here is that some have conjectured that the writer simply could not risk, you know, opening worship of God, or whatever the reason is. It doesn't exactly matter, or it doesn't really matter, because while we may not see God's face anywhere in the book, we see his hand everywhere. Kind of like remind me of the workplace. While you may not see women getting a lot of opportunities in the workplace, we see God's hand upon those women. And I'm talking to one of you right now, right? So let's go into this, because God work can be clearly seen throughout the entire inner prompting of the three leaders we'll meet in Esther: Mordecai, King Xerxes, and Esther. And in this great book, God providential and providence and Esther's preparation meets. We see this in Mordecai's phrase when Mordecai says, "He who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time like this." Such a time like this. And so when we look at the word providence as illustrated here, it comes from two root words: pro, meaning before, and video, meaning to see. Interesting, right? God sees beforehand and orchestrates events to accomplish his purposes. Are you that woman that God is using in the workplace? First, God took Queen Vashti off the throne. Then he gave the throne to Esther. Finally, he put the right people in the right places. I believe you're in the right place in this course, and I'm so glad you're doing it. My hope and intent here is for you to use your strength of being a woman, and to use your knowledge of being a leader, and incorporate that in the workplace, and prepare a better, greater world for more women. Thank you for joining this section of the course. Of course, I'm Sharon Johnson. Stay beautiful, stay fabulous, and stay motivated.